And welcome back to Capitol Review. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer unveiled this framework this week to get Congress on a path toward AI legislation. Legislation is called Safe Innovation Framework, and it stands for Security, Accountability, Foundations, and Explain. And joining me now is Rebecca Klar. She's a technology policy reporter with our media partners at The Hill. And Rebecca, thank you for joining us on Capitol Review. Let's get right to it. It seems like AI is becoming scarier by the minute for people like myself as the industry is really booming across the country. Talk about Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's two-pronged approach.
Right. So Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer laid out his plan for how the Senate should proceed in terms of how Congress should regulate artificial intelligence. And this is something that we've seen Congress already taking focus on, as well as the administration, in terms of how they should regulate it, as we've seen the rise of tools like ChatGPT, as well as generative video and photo content. So the plan that the Senate leader laid out yesterday includes both a framework for policy as well as a plan to hold forums with experts in the field to come to Congress to really talk them through and make recommendations. And it's sort of what he said will help supplement the hearings that we've already seen various committees hold in the Senate as well as in the House in terms of how Congress should go forward. And I think a big point of what he was really leading with is that the Senate needs to put innovation first. And I think that really comes to terms with a lot of what we've seen the tech industry saying in terms of Congress needing to make sure that they're allowing them to innovate without putting regulations in the road that will lead them to be less competitive, especially on a global scale.
You know, you talk about putting innovation first. You hear people, talking about AI. Some say it can be really good and helpful moving forward. Others say it can be a problem moving forward. We really don't know, and time tells all, as you know. But what is Congress' biggest concern when it comes to AI?
Yeah, so I think a big concern in terms of AI is just how expansive the technology is. So we've seen lawmakers and regulators really raise a number of concerns, everything from how this is going to impact copyright and patent law to national security concerns, as well as spreading disinformation online and even changing the workforce in terms of if artificial intelligence will replace certain jobs. So I think part of the challenge is trying to come up with rules and regulations that are really going to touch on all of these different aspects. And I think that's something that he laid out in terms of the forums that he wants to hold, is sort of touching on each of these areas where AI can impact it. And I think it's also something where we've seen a whole of government approach. So we've seen different federal agencies come out and say how they're enforcing already existing laws in terms of holding AI accountable in those ways as well.
Well, the Majority Leader, as you know, says that this is the right framework. He calls this the North Star, saying that it's essential to the country. How would this legislation almost fight AI?
Right. Well, I think what we really have to see is where this framework goes and what policy it creates. So I think that this is sort of a first step in what the Senate may do in terms of this. There wasn't necessarily a lot of details or what sort of legislation may come from this, as opposed to just setting sort of a framework of the goals and ways that they want to push forward. And I think at the same time, we're going to see individual bills and pieces of legislation come forward. There was a bipartisan bill put forward in the House the day before the Senate Majority Leader put forward his plan in terms of suggesting maybe creating a new commission to regulate AI or to come up with rules for AI. So I think we're going to expect to see a range of bills on this, but I think that this framework really shows where the Senate is really focusing on this in terms of Senator Schumer coming out so strongly about this, as well as he mentioned a bipartisan group of senators that are going to be working on this alongside him. So I think that really shows that they're focusing on AI and that, we can expect something. I think he said this is sort of a future we could see months, not years, but it won't be weeks.
All right, Rebecca Klar with The Hill, thank you for your time.
Thank you.